Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad you are joining us. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Barbara Bridges, and I'm part of the Small Business Committee for AFCEA International. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first in a series. This is the AFCEA Innovation Connection. And the program that we're presenting today has actually been discussed and worked on for about a year. We have a wonderful lineup of judges that will be looking at different innovative technologies that we're going to be showcasing. And what we're going to be doing is, once we introduce the moderator, the judges, and then we'll have 4 separate companies that will talk about their selected innovative technologies. What we'll do is each company will have a chance to talk for 5 minutes, and then we'll have the judges be able to ask them a series of questions. We'll do that, we'll repeat that so that you get to really see some in-depth insight into these different technologies. Followed by, once we're through with that, we're going to have a chance to have a video on AFCEA. Many of you may be new to AFCEA, and we want to go over what it's like to be a part of this association, what the different committees have to offer, a way of you to have a chance to get really involved, since this is a government industry association and great for doing business in the space. What I want to do is introduce, first of all, the moderator for today's event, which is going to be Shivaji Gupta. And Shivaji will talk a little bit about his background, but he is also an innovator. He is the CEO of a company and has been very interactive with this session, has provided a lot of input, and he's going to be leading the way as we spend the next hour together. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Shivaji and have you introduce yourself and then launch some of the things that we're going to be showcasing today.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate that. Just quickly about myself, I'm a CEO of a company. We do cybersecurity and IT modernization work for the federal government. But this is not about me. This is about the incredible lineup of judges and participants. We have an incredible lineup of judges today, comprising of a person from a venture capitalist, an industry SME, an innovation SME, and finally somebody who represents the voice of the customer. So with that, just want to introduce the 4 judges. We have Mr. Tom Brazil, who is the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer for Integrated Computer Solutions, and he's a board member of the International Association of Innovation Professionals. He's an ANSI appointed innovation management expert and has worked on the US Technical Advisory Group that created the ISO 56000 innovation standards. Tom, can you give us a couple of, give us a picture about yourself quickly?
Hi, Shivaji. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think you said it all. My recent work is related to the Technical Advisory Group for the creation of the ISO 56000 Series Innovation Management Standards, which also includes criteria for evaluation of innovation programs and organizations. And I'm also the author of a book called Implementing an Agile Innovation Management System. I'm also a certified manager of innovation and a certified chief innovation officer. About it.
Thank you, sir. I wish I was in Hawaii with you. Just kidding. Mr. Sean Gallagher is the Vice President of the Intelligence Community Support at In-Q-Tel, which is the hottest private, independent, nonprofit strategic investment arm of the intelligence community. He spends time matching the latest venture-backed startup technology to the toughest IC mission use cases. Sean, give us a brief about yourself.
Thanks, Shivaji. I look forward to hearing the presentations today. I spend most of my time meeting with companies and trying to match them to those hard mission challenges. We are always looking for the latest innovations that can impact mission within the IC. And we realize that doesn't come from the traditional vendors all the time. Small businesses are the lifeblood of this innovation.
Well said, Sean. Love your background. Next, we have Chris Woods, who is a member of the AFCEA Technology Committee and currently a principal in Option 3 Ventures, a New York, DC-based cybersecurity investment firm. His career experience includes time spent around emerging technologies and investing via the government in the finance and technology industry. Chris, floor is yours.
Pretty well covers it. I look forward to this event today. My firm, we look for things not too dissimilar from what Sean looks for the IC. However, we look at that through a perspective of for the markets and through the government as well. Look forward to today's event. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. The Big Apple being my favorite city. Next is George Ohanian, who is the director of the Warfighter Support Directorate in the U.S. Army Geospatial Center, where he has led the launch and sustainment of current new products and services to support Army combat engineers. He also has served at DISA as a branch chief and program manager. George?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited about participating in this event. In my role as a director of the Warfighter Support Center, I provide capabilities to end users, primarily those in uniform or getting ready to deploy. My capabilities are fairly complicated. They're geospatial tool sets that allow end users to basically develop mapping products that support their needs. So we're always looking at different technologies that can make it easier for the warfighter to achieve their mission without having to push a lot of buttons, easier to use graphical user interfaces, and tools that will actually make their mission much more efficient and much more expeditious.
Thank you so much, George. You're needless to say, the voice of the customer, one of the most important people in the room. So thanks again, all judges, for your time. So just quick few items, rules of the road, as I say it. Typically, so from a program perspective, we have about 5 minutes for presenters to present their slides. And followed by about 5 minutes for judges to ask questions, clarifying questions. Each presenter will be notified when they have a minute left, and they'll be cut off in about 5 minutes just so that we can keep the program going. Each presentation will have 4 slides, so look forward to stepping through them. So just moving on, the first, I have the pleasure of introducing the first participant. Impress Technology Solutions combines decades of technological expertise with a thorough understanding of the federal procurement and contracting process to implement the best possible IT solution. Represented by Mr. Robert Osborne, who's the CTO. He's here to present a very exciting solution around the cyberspace operations infrastructure. Sean, the floor is yours, sir. Robert.
Thank you very much. That's okay. Thank you very much, Sanjay. What we wanted to talk about, just to give you a quick overview, is we're combining a lot of these different decades of technology that's out there, and we're bringing in what we call cyberspace infrastructure or operations infrastructure. And we want to be able to give you a little bit of information about this, as if you take a look at how we call this a full infrastructure and what it's set up as, I'm sure all of you are kind of familiar with software-defined networking. Well, what we've done is we've integrated something called identity-defined networking, or IDN, to create a hardened security network solution called cyberspace operations infrastructure, or we call it CSOI. The concept is connect anything, anywhere in the world, and make it everything that's out there invisible. Make it fast and easy to deploy and maintain. And if you look on the slide, you'll notice there's quite a few things that we're showing connection to, whether or not it's a cellular device, a serial device, or whether we're talking to different parts of clouds, devices on people. And the problem that we were trying to solve, mainly, especially most recently, has been that of the critical infrastructure protection. So the clients that we're basically targeting with this are the federal military and civilian facilities with ICS and SCADA and IIoT, OT, AD&E operational networks. And the way we see it, that there's billions of legacy style devices out here that are vulnerable. They're managed, some of them are unmanaged, but all these endpoints and sensors and pieces of equipment, they all seem to have certain things in common. One of which is that currently 100% of all the devices in the industry that are use networking and security, they all use IP addressing for the network and security of the devices. The problem is that TCP/IP is inherently unsecure. It was never designed for security. So this extreme mosaic of firewalls and VPNs and VLAN segmentation, routing convergence, DNS failover, ACLs, and a myriad of bolt-on security applications are designed out there to protect this legacy IoT and OT. And what happens is it causes this tremendous set of problems around protecting this kind of infrastructure. So the way that we've solved this is that we cloak your IP addresses and your MAC address. And we do this by inserting a layer in the TCP/IP stack that handles the routing of your network using an AES 256 encryption algorithm. So unlike standard VPN tunnels, we provide this AES 256 encrypted communications between devices using protocols like an ESP, encapsulated security protocol, and we cloak the IP and MAC address. This connection also terminates at the endpoint rather than in a normal VPN where you continue through the network once you're connected into that network. What CSOI does is it provides the ability to continuously log and provide adaptive monitoring along with enforcement of dynamic security policies and encrypted segmentation along the way of all those network designs. So it significantly reduces the security risk while it substantially reduces the cost of the implementation. This is what we really see as a true zero trust model. It's not rebranded. This is how it came from the ground up. And we do this with this overlay of existing networks. So it really doesn't matter what kind of equipment you use. And if you notice on your screen all the different types of equipment we have out there, this was actually tested and run a few years back. And when a base part of the technology was run out of a thunderstorm technology demonstration that was put on by the Applied Research Laboratory of Pennsylvania State University, the Naval Submarine Base, Strategic Weapons Facilities out of Atlantic, U.S. Marine Corps Security Force Battalion. We also had Northcom there. We had the rest of the Air Force. We had NGA, the Navy, Army, and quite a few other type of agencies that participated. During the competition, we were accused of not participating by a few of the participants, at what point one of the judges that was standing behind the table stood up and said, "No, they're here and they're on your network. You just can't find them and they are kicking your," yeah. And that's where it went on. He later told us that we started out at about a 7 to 9 TRL at that point. With the integrations that we provided for pieces like port mirroring and the ability to do the automatic threat intelligence work, we now see ourselves at this integration point back at a TRL 3.
Robert, I think sorry about that. Your unfortunately time is up, I think.
Looks like we lost Robert's audio.
Yeah, I think we lost Robert probably. Robert, can you hear us? Oh. So, maybe Barbara, would you mind calling him? Robert, can you hear us? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. I guess I'm not good at sign language.
He was in the wrap up anyways. I suggest.
Okay, so
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, finally get back
now
in.
we got you.
Yes, I guess the batteries died.
Well, no, it hasn't yet. That's what I'm trying to figure out because I could hear you at first, and then
We've
all of a
got
sudden
you.
I couldn't hear you.
We've got you again.
All right. All right.
Okay,
So I
let's
think
do that.
let's move on to the judges, Robert, if you don't mind. So, any questions from the judges?
Yeah, this is Tom.
Yes, Tom.
Okay.
So Robert, one of the most overlooked aspects of innovation development is the unforeseen negative impacts that an innovation may have in terms of its target operating environment. So as an example, everyone understands the numerous benefits of the smartphone, but what they didn't consider early on was the negative impact it would have on driver safety. So with the DoD networks, the core central technology supporting the warfighter, and your product potentially having that network as its target operating environment, do you organizationally consider, as a matter of practice, the potential negative impacts of your innovation in context of that operating environment?
Yeah, unfortunately, we probably do it to the nth degree. A lot of what we've done this with, because currently this is in use in banking industries. We do it for a lot of SCADA pieces for universities. We're also doing this in oil and gas, as well as in certain parts of electric, where if we make a mistake, people go down. The interesting part is the time to implement is less than about 15 minutes, but the time to remove it is less than about 3 to 5 seconds. It doesn't do anything but overlay on top of the existing network, and you can set it up so that it will only address these specific endpoints on the network that you are requesting for it to address. It will not touch or modify anything else on your network.
Thanks, Robert.
Any of the judges? Any questions?
Dude, this is George Ohanian. Robert, thank you for the presentation. Robert, in DoD's environment, we have multiple networks. There's not one single network. A lot of the industries you just described can fairly control their entire network from cradle to grave and from point to point. With us, we have networks within networks that are discretely owned, not always well connected. How does this product work in an environment between multiple networks, even though they're kind of connected, but not really? So how would you deploy it in, say, in a DoD construct? Because I don't see it that clean, that being able to connect that clean.
It's amazing. I've actually heard this multiple times. One of the quickest ways we talk about this is that Navy ships, for instance, Navy ship is a flat 24. No matter what I do, they re-IP their network every single month, once a month while they're underway. And I keep asking them, how's that going for you? And every Navy person will tell you it absolutely stinks. It doesn't work, and our network doesn't function. I said, well, do you know what devices you need to have on and what protocols you would have to have just those devices talk? You know, tell me which ones that you want to have talk, and we'll load those in. And we showed them very quickly that we were able to onload using their existing network without touching anything else on their network. We simply put a device on the network. And we said, fine, let's identify what devices that are out here that are talking. And if I could give you the ability to press a button and allow you so that the device that sits right next to you with an IP address on the exact same 24 that you are, I can make it so that it will not discuss or talk to you. It won't even be able to access your hardware layer unless it has an authorized token that you say it is authorized to talk to you, and only during the time frame. We showed them this, and it's one of those things that if you've ever had to set up and re-IP a network or redo a network, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. And if you've ever had to work on the ACLs, or you've had to try to make a DNS table reconverge on fly, it doesn't work. The way that this RFC was written, and this is a series of RFCs that were written out in the 90s for HIP protocol, that allows it to see each one of the devices that are living right next to it. But when you turn it off, it goes back to its standard routing capabilities. It will bypass your network infrastructure only because you have granted it security to only talk to the device that you have granted it physical access to. So we've seen that it is able to overlay. If that network has any ability to go out, then it simply allows me to overlay this. As a matter of fact, right now, because of the testing we're doing some testing with the U.S. Army. We've already done testing with the FAA. We've actually been doing testing, bringing warfighters in from the outside world by just handing them a cell phone that they went and picked up at whatever local carrier they wanted to pick up at, and continuing that way. We can walk through that if you want to. We can go through some additional information on the outside and show you some of the very quick ways that we can do this with traversing your network, but without breaking anything that you currently have.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much. Unless any of the judges have any questions, we'd like to move on.
I do want to thank you very much. However, I did want to also let you guys know that if you want to know more about it, there's a, I put in the chat window, there's a ICS2 chapter in Northern Virginia. They will be showing this, where we will be doing a deep dive technically for about 2 hours, showing any of you folks that want to take a look at it a little bit deeper. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for the presentation. And I'm sure we'll share that resource with the audience at large for them to use that. So the next, introduce the next company. Astrapi is a leader in revolutionary method of communication, spiral-based modulation, a game-changing force in communication technology, represented by Mr. David Shaw, the co-founder and CCO. They are here to present an exciting solution around spiral modulation.
Thank you.
Go for it, sir.
Oh, great. Thank you, Shivaji. So there's a finite amount of communication spectrum, but there's increasing demand for it at all levels. The channels are capacity constrained, they're signal power constrained, they're susceptible to increasing amount of interference, and that it becomes more acute on defense, where you're operating in harsh contested environments with people trying to jam you. We've seen video conferencing, advanced gaming, high definition entertainment, telemedicine, remote education is putting even more stress on networks. So the demand for bandwidth has outstripped the supply. Were there not this demand, we wouldn't need 5G network. We wouldn't need low Earth orbit satellite constellations. We address those issues. Astrapi introduces spiral modulation, symbol waveform hopping, which is a secure transmission capability, and an advanced non-stationary spectrum analyzer to address these bandwidth and electromagnetic spectrum problems. The capabilities range from TRL4 to TRL6. So our model is to license into the radios, the modems, the sensors, smart devices that serve these congested channels. So we address defense, satellite, terrestrial wireless, and IoT markets. That's $5 trillion industry right there. We intend to license this into the 2 billion smart devices that ship annually. That is a $40 billion annual service available market for us. Enterprise satellite is a $460 million opportunity. We're also transitioning now into our second generation software-defined radio prototype in the Xilinx platform. We can transition into the Space Force, multiple Delta commands there. The Air Force Space Missile Command, we've got some support there. The Army PEO tactical radios, IEW and S, PNT are all interested, PEO Warrior within US SOCOM, and others. So we're already using our spectrum analyzer for our own account. It's a pure play software license with funding. We can transition that into one use case would be the Android Tactical Assault Kit as an example. And that allows folks to optimize it internally, and then we license it into the various end users, whether they're government or defense. And about 500,000 of those are deployed. So with spiral modulation, it's similar but different in that we take our stem cell prototype in the Xilinx platform into customer labs. We test and optimize for specific use. It's not a waveform capability. We're able to use the entire waveform. We then migrate into their software-defined radios and they sell to defense and commercial customers. In both cases, we scale from there. So step one, software-defined radio. Step two gets into ASIC design course for more commoditized use. We've raised almost $3 million to date. We've closed about $1.4 million in R&D contracts, and we're in market now for a $5 million Series A. So the spectrum analyzer that I mentioned in the ATAC platform, it's software and enables warfighters at the edge to have better visibility of what an adversary is doing. We're showing a 10x improvement over existing capability, and we can pick up signals that are operating below the noise floor. We're just now starting to roll this out. The capabilities clearly enable better situational awareness, a better targeting, and an advanced capability basically to own the EW space, the battle space. The use case for spiral modulation is, again, in a software-defined radio first. We're showing a 3 to 4 dB improvement in required signal power. That's over a factor of 2 for alphabet symbol sizes up to 256. We have 15 patents issued. We've got more pending. Basically, every problem that we solve is going to have a patent family behind that. We've got the team that's uniquely qualified as the domain experts on all of this, with an engineering staff of 3 and then 3 attorneys, IP licensing professionals, and a couple of C-level operational folks. We've got support from the NSF, the Air Force, Southwest Research Institute, and of course the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. So whoever controls the electromagnetic spectrum controls the battle space. We define an entirely new field, right? So the problem is that we've got a great ability, as the Department of Defense does, to capture data at the operational edge and to analyze it at the other end, but the limitation's the transport layer. That's where we come in. We solve that problem. We solve the problem for defense, for satellite, for terrestrial wireless, and IoT networks. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate the presentation. So just time for judges to ask a few questions.
Thanks, David. Sean from In-Q-Tel here. I would just, when I think of my customers' use cases here, I think of something they'd want to integrate easily into any number of their communications devices, and that's your plan, right? You're sort of agnostic to the device. You're going to provide them the pathway and the spectral efficiency between 2 devices.
That's right. We want as many people to license this as possible. The challenge for us, since the opportunity is so large, is stack ranking who to team with to do that first and which bucket of money to apply it to first. And generally, it's satellite point to point, so we don't have to get into standards like 5G and get bogged down with that. Then ultimately go point to multi-point, and then end up in multi-point to multi-point in IoT environments.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, David, this is Tom Brazil. Intriguing technology. I think we've all heard over the last 10 years or so the increasing complaints about running out of radio frequency spectrum. And then in your briefing, you said, and I think it's a quote direct, by dramatically increasing spectral efficiency, you enable a 2 times or greater improvement in occupied bandwidth and data throughput, et cetera. So my question to you is, do you see this technology as something that could potentially redefine how radio frequency bands are managed by the government?
Absolutely.
Or governments?
Absolutely. This is the rare deal where we're defining an entirely new field. So this is from the physical layer. It came out of the core mathematics of communication theory. It's not going to replace everything, but it certainly has the promise to address an awful lot of very, very big things. In the right now, we're showing in our current embodiment on the prototypes that 2x or more is for required signal power with occupied bandwidth held constant in bit error rate. In simulation, we're showing a 4 to 10x improvement in occupied bandwidth. We've just migrated over to the Xilinx boards. They're 8x8 monsters, and we're trying to get our arms around that. So it's not a waveform. It is a way to use the waveform design space. So it may be that we're using polynomials. So that's unlimited opportunity to optimize for high throughput or low signal power. So we're getting a lot of tugs to reduce the signature, LPI, LPD, those sorts of things. high throughput would come in when you're dealing with high fidelity imaging over the top drones, really anywhere.
Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
David, this is George Ohanian. Could you talk to me a little bit about the user's role in all this? What is it that they have to do differently? What's the impact on them? Do they the level of training that might be required, or is this basically seamless and there's no hands-on?
Yeah, so the idea is to migrate. For example, one of the things that we looked at with the MIDS JTRS program, the Jitters program, would be an additional capability within that. So of sorts, we're another toggle switch, one of 4 waveform capabilities. In a perfect world, we'd have cognitive radios that allow us to see what's going on in the spectrum and then adjust accordingly. So the idea is we're not developing new radios, we're not developing new sensors, we're not developing new networks. We are an enabling technology within that infrastructure. Will there be engineering trade-offs? Yes. For example, by coming in at really low power, we think we can reduce the size of the batteries and the power amplifiers, which get into form factor benefits that we just hadn't had funding to completely measure what that looks like. But you don't have to do that coming in. We also can coexist with other things like frequency hopping, for example. We're agnostic to antennas, so there's different choices that can be made.
David, Sean again. I noticed I'm sorry, Chris. Just one quick one. I noticed the VSAT application. I think we talked about that. Is that something where you're going to increase the bandwidth, 2 to 3 times for a VSAT application?
Yeah, that's the objective. So we can get more information in a narrower range of frequencies using less signal power. So that's going to impact the guard bands. That would, we're not reducing the bandwidth. We're getting more information through what is a finite amount of bandwidth and may be able to reduce the guard bands.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Just a quick question. I see we're at time here. You mentioned government support. You mentioned a lot of different markets. Some of them have obviously commercial and government paths. Can you talk about where the traction is taking you right now? Where's the biggest pull for you right now?
Yeah, so we've been focused on satellite as the primary one, and for a lot of reasons. So we can go point to point. We can go in through software-defined radios. There's a tremendous amount of money flowing there, both commercially and in defense. On the commercial side, that is to capture market from the terrestrial folks because their networks are congested, and deliver higher broadband coverage, the 2/3 of the world that doesn't have it. So that's the first bite of the apple, the quickest bite. And then within defense, it's, like I said, kind of on the low power capability right now. And we're really just now pushing some of that out with some of the EW folks. Space, in space, that's it's a dual use on the satellite side of things.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, thank you, David. I really appreciate your presentation and all the great questions. So next on our list is Nucleus. Nucleus is on a mission to solve real problems that organizations are facing with vulnerability management programs from end to end. They have an exciting product on the vulnerability management side, which is close to my heart, and represented by Steve Carter, who's our co-founder. Steve, floor is yours, sir.
Hey, thank you for the intro. It's great to be here. I'll go ahead and start on the quad chart here, and I'll focus on the left two quadrants here to start with. So myself and 2 other co-founders started Nucleus in late 2018 because we were really frustrated that all the vulnerability technology, all the vulnerability management technology out there is really designed to detect and identify vulnerabilities, not really to help you with all the manual processes and workflows that take place after vulnerabilities are identified. And it's really those manual processes that cost organizations so much money in manual work. But more importantly, those are also the reason why organizations are unable to remediate vulnerabilities quickly enough to prevent breaches. So we addressed these challenges by developing a workflow orchestration automation engine designed specifically for vulnerability management. On the business side, we currently have over 40 enterprise customers. We're generating about 1.7 million in ARR and are projecting to be between 8 and 10 million by the end of 2022. We're a super lean and efficient company with just 15 employees right now. We're cash flow positive as of December 2020, and we just closed a Series A round for 3.1 million in early March that we're really going to invest. We're going to use to invest primarily in engineering, support, and sales. Our customers so far consist primarily of large enterprises, managed security service providers, MSSPs, and DevSecOps and AppSec teams as well. And so we're just now entering the federal space. We were recently awarded a phase 1 SIPR contract with AFWorks, which is we're really excited about. And the vulnerability management market is quite large at around 10 billion right now. I think it's expected to double in size in the next 5 years. Nucleus kind of falls under a subcategory of vulnerability management called risk-based vulnerability management. And that's estimated to be between about $1 and $2 billion right now of that 10, but it's growing really rapidly at around a 51% CAGR. So kind of shifting over to the right side of this quad chart here on the technology and benefits. One of the reasons why vulnerability management is so inefficient and really error prone today is that it relies on so many different standalone technologies and tool sets. And so, we believe one of the reasons we've been so successful is that we place a really heavy focus on deep integrations with the IT and security tools that large enterprises are already using today and rely on the most. So things like ServiceNow, Jira, GitLab, we partner with these vendors and we work really closely with these vendors to deliver maximum value to our mutual customers. So we have over 70 integrations today. We're continuously adding new integrations, averaging about one a week, and we're continuously enhancing our existing integrations based on customer feedback. So our application consists of a high-performance analytics database called SingleStore. It used to be called MemSQL. Actually, I believe they're an In-Q-Tel backed database solution. They scale extremely well. We also have a web application interface and a comprehensive API to basically drive every bit of functionality that's accessible through the user interface programmatically. We're primarily a SaaS offering right now. We're currently hosted in AWS. However, we can deploy on-prem easily to bare metal or to any private cloud. Okay, so I mentioned that Nucleus automates what are very labor-intensive and error-prone vulnerability management tasks. And it really does this by first consolidating all the vulnerability data, all the scan results, along with all the other information that's needed to contextualize those vulnerabilities. So things like asset metadata, threat intelligence, these are combined and correlated with the scan results. And that's what enables organizations to make informed decisions on how to respond to new vulnerabilities. And so next we automate the vulnerability analysis and prioritization with the workflow automation engine that we designed specifically for vulnerability management. And then finally provide a unified dashboard to really monitor every aspect of the organization's vulnerability management program from a single console. As far as use cases, we have quite a few, but they can generally be categorized into one of these three areas. DevSecOps is probably the primary use case because CI/CD tools generate a massive amount of vulnerability data because they're scanning continuously. Network and infrastructure security is also a very big use case for us. We provide a consolidated asset inventory, and then again, pull in threat intel and other contextual information to help with prioritization. And then finally, we can manage pen tests and security assessments of any kind and eliminate the 100-page PDF reports and automate the response to those findings and vulnerabilities. And it looks like I'm out of time. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Steve. Great product. Judges?
Yeah, this is Tom Brazil. Thank you, Steve, for the presentation. So I've gone over your website and the presentation, and it's an impressive number of integrations. The one that I focused on, though, was Nessus, and that's the foundation of the DoD's Assured Compliance Assessment Solution. So my question is, do you have or do you plan to have a formal integration with ACAS?
So we have a formal partnership with Tenable, and we've integrated with, Security Center, with Nessus, with Tenable.io, with Tenable.sc, pretty much their entire product line. We've integrated with those tools. So I'm not sure if that answers the question, but we have, deep integrations with pretty much the entire Tenable product line at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
This is George Ohanian. Thank you for the presentation. Can you talk a little about, I saw your model for pricing per device, and you talk about time saving. Have you done any modeling of what that actually decreases in a corporation? Is it equivalent to people, number of hours? I mean, where's the return on investment for them?
Right. Yeah. So we actually have we have an ROI calculator out there. I don't think it's we have a link to it from our website,
Okay.
but it's something I'd be happy to send you. But yeah, basically, the larger the organization is, the more time they're going to save. Right. The larger they are, the more tools they have, the more processes they have, and so it's really kind of a multiplier. Our calculator is based on the number of assets and applications that they have. And in a large enterprise, we're going to assume that they have, at a certain level of maturity, and we understand how much time large enterprises are spending on the manual processes, and are able to get feedback from our customers on the time savings. So that's how we built the calculator. But I'd be happy to share that with you. The other big ROI is speed, right? Because if you have these days about anywhere from like 3 to 7 days to patch a vulnerability before an exploit's available in the wild. And if it takes you 3 months or 2 months to scan and then do all the analysis, you just can't move fast enough to not get breached. And so, a big part of the ROI is also just the ability to move much, much faster and respond in hours or days instead of months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve, great presentation. Who do you find as your most receptive target audience? Is it the CISO? Is it red and blue team leads? Or is it DevOps teams trying to make sure they have secure code before it's ever deployed? Mission application providers trying to make sure that the applications they're providing are secure? Or all the above? Like, who are your buyers today?
Yeah, today, so again, we're primarily operating in the private sector, and typically it's going to be either a DevSecOps team lead for a large enterprise that finds us, and they're interested in those DevOps use cases that I mentioned. It could be, sometimes it's product owners that find us, for agile processes. But then also on the network infrastructure side, it's generally security architects. And those are the guys in these large enterprises that are looking across all of their tools and trying to figure out, how can we make all these things talk and work together in an efficient way and move faster and save money on some of these manual processes. So I would say it's generally those security architects and then DevSecOps directors and leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope this doesn't, feel free to take this in a different direction if you'd like. But your solution, could you comment about how maybe it could have been helpful with SolarWinds?
Yeah, so SolarWinds is a tricky one, right? Because that was a supply chain issue. So it was a 0 day in the sense that this software, this malicious software, was deployed and running on networks for many months before anyone knew about it. So Nucleus isn't something that's going to be able to detect a SolarWinds any quicker. What it can do, I believe, is help you identify where you have SolarWinds and those vulnerabilities associated with SolarWinds. In hours instead of a call across your enterprise, a data call that might take weeks or months, right? So it's really, again, that ability to respond very quickly once you've identified that you have a vulnerability. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, was it a judge? So Steve, thank you again for your presentation. And just as a quick follow-up, if any of the presenters have any resource they want to share, please feel free to post it on the attendee chat so that everybody can make use of that. So the next company is another exciting company called AFCEA. They provide economic and end-to-end cybersecurity solutions designed for their team environment and security objectives, providing packet level visibility across your network. Represented by Mark Zeller, who is the Chief Revenue Officer. He's here to present an exciting solution around high-speed, high-intake security visibility hub for network traffic capture, analysis, and distribution. Mark, your answer.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And again, thank you for your time and consideration. I am Mark Zeller. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at AFCEA, Inc. The vision of our company is to be a premier provider of network threat detection and response to the enterprise. Our company, AFCEA, was founded in 2018 as a spin-out of a prior company. The management team has been around for quite a while in business with over 30 years of experience and 6+ years on average at the company itself. Our background was in the enterprise storage array business, which means our technical expertise is in solving very fast data ingest, persistence, distribution problems while maintaining high data integrity and availability. Our primary revenue generator is our Packet Express appliance, for which our value chain is very well established. Our 2020 revenues were $8 million, and our forecast for the next 2 years is anywhere between 50 to 100% growth year over year. We finance our business today and development through funds from operations. The opportunity, and you heard a little bit about this in the prior discussion, is around the current cybersecurity landscape. Most organizations focus on perimeter defense through firewalls, endpoint solutions, and send their logs to a SIEM for further analysis and correlation. Those solutions are ineffective against zero-day and insider threats, as evidenced by the recent SolarWinds attack. In addition, security operators are overwhelmed as they're faced with millions of events that they have to deal with, the majority of them which are false positives. Once inside the enterprise network, most of these threats dwell for up to 245 days, cost millions of dollars in damage, lost IP, and reputation loss. Our target market is large organizations, commercial and government within the US currently. The TAM that we have identified for the packet capture and intrusion detection system market is $5.2 billion. Our current technology, again called Packet Express, is a high-speed packet capture platform which is based on commercially available hardware and proprietary software which was developed from our unique storage array perspective. We have several patents pending and a skilled engineering team which solves problems at a very low level. Our current solution is differentiated from our competitors like Endus and NetScout, as we can capture packets at 100 gigabits per second sustained with zero packet loss in a form factor about 70% less than anybody else. Furthermore, we can store days to months of network packets depending on the average aggregate network rates. More importantly, we persist those packets and then immediately distribute them via multiple streams to multiple virtualized sensors, both on and off the appliance at 100 gig. That actually allows for quite a bit of savings as far as your network visibility fabric, as well as the cost of your virtualized sensors or intrusion detection systems. The improvement we have been evaluating and plan on implementing is to create our own sensor or intrusion detection system that is not dependent on rules or signatures, as is the current state of the art. We are working with a company that has a patented unsupervised machine learning high-speed algorithm, which is demonstrably 1,000 times faster than the current commonly used k-means algorithm for unsupervised machine learning. The combination of our capabilities and this algorithm has been proven using 2 standard benchmarks for IDS accuracy in the 99% range. This was accomplished using 0 rules or signatures. In summary, we will not be using a we will be using a very special algorithm superior to most in analyzing the packets, not net flow or events from an IDS. The combination of speed and power in our solution complements this algorithm very well to solve the problem of zero-day and insider threats while significantly minimizing false positives and the amount of data SOC personnel have to deal with, which is the job to be done. The benefits will be to identify zero-day threats in minutes, not months, and quickly mitigate the blast radius and dwell time of these threats. We estimate that it will take 9 to 12 months to get this accomplished and cost around $4 million. Questions?
Yeah, this is Tom Brazil.
Hi, Tom.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? So I've also looked at your website. I've dug into your Packet Express technology, and I think you said your target market, at least in your presentation, was the defensive cybersecurity operations in commercial enterprise and U.S. defense markets. And so when I dug into Packet Express, it seems to me like there'd be a potential for a pipeline of derivative offerings based on that technology. It could be shaped for different industries, right? So not just defensive cybersecurity operations. So I bring this up because national security strategy places a high priority on partnerships with industry innovators that can repeatedly bring innovative solutions to the benefit of our nation. So my question is, how is your organization structured to ensure that you have a system for both continuous idea generation and for transforming those ideas into working solutions?
That is a great question, Tom. So, we are a very small company and do a lot of market analysis as part of what we do. We currently have a contract, I think I mentioned it, with a very large military branch where we spend quite a bit of time understanding how they want to use our platform. It was an OTA that was awarded, and right now I might have mentioned we're TRL 8. We're working on a follow-on production contract to get TRL 9 on that. In addition, and as you astutely observed, we are a platform for packet capture. We want to focus on cybersecurity, but we also actually work in the financial industry as well for market surveillance and compliance opportunities. So we do have salespeople or representatives that are out selling to Wall Street. We are literally about to close a deal with a very large exchange for evaluating an options feed for them, which is pretty significant and will drive our growth pretty well. So hopefully that answers your question.
That was the exact market I was thinking of. Yes, thank you.
That's what I figured. Yep. So we do want to use this in a platform and expand upon anything that requires that fast packet ingest. And by the way, we do not want to limit to just the packets. We've done research on video for CSR, CSIR type applications as well, and virtual reality applications.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Any other questions?
I'll let Sean go.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Given that you have all the packets captured, do you also provide, and maybe you already said this, I apologize, a sort of a DVR function where you can go back and replay the attack to learn, tactics, techniques, and procedures?
Yeah. So Sean, great question, and I did kind of have it, but it took more than 5 minutes to answer it. So I'm glad you answered the question. Yeah. If you were to go to, if we could advance to, I'm sorry. If we went back to, I had a picture of our solution. So what we actually provide is the capability. It's kind of a quasi packet broker. We capture and then distribute to these sensors. Meanwhile, we store these in our patented very high speed time series file system. We store the packets. The way it's used today, you can we then forward from the event sensors, which in this case would be Zeek, it could be Suricata or Snort. We then circle back from Splunk. We can pivot to actually request the packets, play them back for forensic analysis and for mitigation testing in your DevSecOps environment. So great question. Glad you answered it. And yes, we can do playback, and that playback can be at speeds up to 100 gig as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark, you teased us a little bit with some of the new use cases that you're starting to look at by way of richer data, really, right? With VR and all that. Can you maybe walk us through a little bit of what the different types of techniques that you might use? Would you keep using k-means, or would you start trying to explore other algorithms as well? And to zero in on what you're looking for.
Yeah, so Chris, first of all, we are not using k-means. K-means is actually while it's a very important algorithm and has been used for quite a while, it's very limited in how much data you can actually analyze quickly. What makes this a breakthrough application is the fact that we can analyze, that we can take in, millions and billions of packets, and we timestamp them in nanoseconds. And in k-means, they kind of do their analysis in milliseconds, which is a couple orders of magnitude, slow. With the algorithm that we're looking at, it's actually 1,000 times faster. It does it in microseconds. So the combination of our ingest, the capability to utilize this algorithm to identify those threats is really important distinction. So again, what we think we're going to be able to do based on tests that have already been done with those benchmarks is to detect those threats that are 0 day that no one's ever seen before, like a solar wind, again, in minutes versus hours. I mean, this again is at the packet level, which is the lowest level of communications you can get in an environment. So hopefully that answered your question. But we are, again, because it is a platform, it's going to take some time to integrate that algorithm into this to make it work for what I just said. Like I said, 9 to 12 months. But there's other use cases we can use with this, as Tom identified with his question as well, that again are very dependent on these high-speed applications. Hopefully that answered your question. And just to go back, I was going to volunteer that this particular application would have helped significantly with the SolarWinds attack.
Thank you for that. Just as a quick follow-up, you did say so that there's a partner that owns that algorithm, or is that proprietary to your company?
It is a partner that owns that algorithm.
Okay, so you're co-developing it?
Correct. They actually have several markets and use cases that they go after. We're their cybersecurity partner.
I see. Thanks.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate it. I guess it's time for the judges to move to the other room with Rakhi Sharma, who is part of AFCEA Small Business, and conclude their decision-making process. In the meantime, Barbara, you had the next phase of this.
Yes, and first of all, what a great 4 companies. I learned a lot. They all have incredible innovation, doing some new things. It was really exciting to kind of sit back and watch them do their presentation and then listen to the judges as they ask questions. So I think I would have a hard time selecting out of those 4 companies. I don't know what your thoughts are. You too, probably.
Absolutely, incredible. The 4 companies. Judges are going to have their work cut out for them. I wouldn't want to be in that seat, honestly. Incredible companies, and I really look forward to hearing what their thoughts are towards when we reconvene after the decision.
Perfect. So what we're going to do in the meantime, we're going to be giving the judges a chance to really, talk amongst themselves, discuss. I'm sure it's going to be a lively and passionate discussion. What we want to do now, though, is we're going to have an AFCEA video clip so you can learn more about getting involved with AFCEA, what it does, and everything else, and learn why Shivaji and I are so committed to volunteering for this organization.
AFCEA International is respected worldwide for connecting people, ideas, and solutions. If you're in global defense, security, intelligence, or information technology, you have a place in AFCEA. With more than 30,000 individual members, more than 1,600 corporate members, and 140 chapters, AFCEA produces dynamic events, quality content, education, all with direct engagement for its members. AFCEA events, prestigious committees, and association leadership constantly strengthen the workforce by mentoring young professionals, facilitating diversity, gender equity, and supporting small business. AFCEA connects military and government with industry and academia to solve intelligence, cyber, and technology challenges. Members develop key relationships, acquire business intelligence, and learn about contract opportunities. Our international network connects you globally, enhancing skills and providing a chance to give back through volunteer opportunities. Learn and stay current through online and on-site courses, as well as accredited sessions at various events. The AFCEA Educational Foundation awards $2 million in annual scholarships. Receive news and thought leadership through Signal Media, print, web, newsletters, webinars, and online events. What matters most is your mission success. Whether it's to grow your business or grow your career, helping you achieve your goal is what AFCEA does best. Let us help you connect, engage, learn, innovate, and make a difference. Join today and find your place in AFCEA.
If you are serious about your career and you want to grow your business in the federal space, find your place in AFCEA. Doctors have the American Medical Association, dentists have the ADA, and lawyers have the bar. If you are a C5 ISR professional doing business with the federal government, AFCEA is your professional association, and there's a place for you at AFCEA. My name is Tina Jordan, and I'm the Vice President of Membership at AFCEA International. For those of you attending an AFCEA event for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about AFCEA. The association was founded in 1946 by Brigadier General David Sarnoff when he brought together the United States Veterans Signal Association and the American Signal Corps Association with the goal of promoting communication. General Sarnoff had experienced firsthand how open dialogue and strong relationships between government and industry in times of peace can help ensure effective communications during times of war. AFCEA International is a membership association whose mission is to connect professionals and to foster knowledge of global security issues so that technology and strategy align with the needs of the defense, homeland security, and intelligence communities worldwide. We are a nonprofit, non-lobbying, non-political association. We have a very strong brand. People who know AFCEA as an ethical and values-driven association. AFCEA brings together military, government, industry, and academia in an ethical forum to enable the conversations to take place that are needed for global security. The military and government have IT needs. Industry and academia have IT solutions. AFCEA brings together all four components through our events, highly sought after committees, white papers, networking opportunities, and various offerings through Signal Media. AFCEA International has over 30,000 individual members and more than 1,600 corporate members. Members are affiliated through regions and chapters located in 30 countries worldwide. Wherever you go, there is a place for you in AFCEA. Chapters offer a way to engage in the local community and to network with military and government customers, as well as business-to-business partners. Chapters offer a way for members to grow their business acumen and leadership and management skills as volunteers organize and manage local events. This also allows members to give back to their community because proceeds from chapter events are used to fund local scholarships, grants, and Wounded Warrior programs. As a member of AFCEA, you will find a place wherever you go. We had a member in the Northern Virginia area who needed to see customers across the country. She looked at the AFCEA international calendar and saw that the local chapter where she was headed was having a luncheon while she was going to be in town. She reached out to attend the luncheon and made all sorts of new contacts. That luncheon was a force multiplier for her network. She has definitely found her place in AFCEA. AFCEA offers its members educational opportunities through the valuable content provided at AFCEA events, through our Preferred Provider program, instructor-led and online courses, and sessions which qualify as continuing education for certification maintenance. AFCEA delivers unique opportunities, an inspired global community, and an exceptional experience to all who are deployed, serving at home, or supporting those who serve. If you are already an AFCEA member, thank you. We value your membership and we appreciate your support. If you are not an AFCEA member yet, I encourage you to go to afcea.org and click on the Join Now button. Become a member of AFCEA. Engage with other C5 ISR professionals. Grow your network and your business. Serve those who serve, and find your place in AFCEA.
I'd like to introduce to you now Heather Lacroix, who's the co-chair of the Small Business Committee, and she's going to say a few words about what we've been up to this year. Heather, it's all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Heather Lacroix, president of Geneva Technical Innovations, a wholly owned subsidiary of Alaska Native Corporation, Geneva. I also have the honor of being the co-chair of AFCEA Small Business Committee. The AFCEA Small Business Committee is dedicated to helping small businesses achieve their goals. The Innovation Connection is just one way we support them by fostering engagement and collaboration with the private and government sectors. Additional initiatives include our Small Business Center of Excellence, which provides business mentoring and mentor-protege matchmaking for our small business and large business members. We hold a monthly business development roundtable as well. At this roundtable, our members are able to seek opportunity and capability-specific partnerships throughout our community. We also have a webinar series that provides our community with interactive expert panels on hot-button issues going on in business as well in the customer space. Every summer, we open our committee to new innovative leaders from small and large businesses, as well as academia and nonprofits, to help us continue to expand our offerings to small businesses. If you're interested in being part of the Small Business Committee, I encourage you to reach out to Elizabeth Moon at emoon@afcea.org, EMOON@afcea.org. Thank you so much. We had such a wonderful afternoon. I cannot wait to hear back from the judges and hear what their thoughts are.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's great to be part of the Small Business Committee, and thanks for your leadership. Really appreciate it. So Shivaji's back. We are waiting word from the judges just until I have a few more announcements, and then we're going to see if we can bring them back to find out who the winner is. Again, tough decision. For those of you that are interested in presenting a technology for one of the future events, I wanted to provide you with the dates. We have one in May coming up on May the 14th, and then we have two in June 11th and June 25th. So if you're interested, let one of us know and we'll get you on the roster. We've had really an overwhelming response to this, and we appreciate that because I think it's something for all of us to learn about technology, what's coming down the horizon. You heard from a couple of the speakers that there's some new technologies that potentially could make a great difference in technology for the future. And then we also heard a couple of folks mention they might have solar winds support for, the different things that are going on lately with the world being so crazy. There's a lot of technology that can address that. Shivaji, did you have any comments or want to say anything about your participation in AFCEA?
Absolutely. I just wanted to add to the earlier messages from Tina and the AFCEA video. So just to for everybody's understanding, 2000. I joined AFCEA about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm so probably the youngest member on most committees that I participate in, and it has literally changed my perspective on a lot of things. I'm fortunate to be part of the Homeland Security Committee and the Small Business Committee, and I'm a liaison on the Technology Committee at AFCEA International. And literally, if you think of my aperture has increased like 50-fold to the world around me. Number one. Number two is for all small businesses. I think one of the things we struggle with, two things. One is understanding from peers what is going on and get peers to help us in our various day-to-day challenges. I think AFCEA is a phenomenal forum for that. And the second is on a business development level itself. We have, as Tina mentioned, 30,000 like-minded professionals who you can reach out on the AFCEA platform, and they will pick up the call from a fellow AFCEA member. So strongly recommend AFCEA as one of your choices for a professional organization.
That's great, Shivaji. I also wanted to add that on some of the committees, there are not only industry members, but government members as well. So you have a chance to dialogue directly. I'm getting word that I believe they have a winner. So we're just going to stand by while the judges come back. And then we'll turn it over to them and they can announce the winner of this series, this particular event. Again, I can't figure out which one they're going to select because they all bring such value. The drum.
I think everybody's a winner. It's just a tough choice to make, especially with the 4 that we're here today. But what's key is, at least I feel that all 4 have a very, very strong product offering that is especially going to help on the Homeland Security side, the mission at DoD, Homeland Security, and various federal agencies.
And the judges are coming back in now.
Okay. Let's see who the spokesperson is, and we'll give that person the floor. Hey, Rocky, how are you?
I am doing well.
Are the judges?
They're coming over. Yeah, we just left the teams, so we're coming over.
Okay, awesome. And is there a spokesperson for the judges?
Yeah, George is going to pick it up.
Okay, wonderful. I can't wait. Are you all ready to make your announcement, judges?
Yes, we are. I just want to make sure the rest of the judges are on.
Okay.
And I drew the short straw. So I will say, let me first start. Thank you very much for everyone that presented. It was informative to all of us as judges. It was personally informative to me, and I appreciate the opportunity. And you made it very difficult. So the choice wasn't easy for us. We deliberated quite a bit. And the technologies you're proposing are all amazing in their own feet and have tremendous application. And we want to wish all of you success with all of your technologies and your ventures. After having multiple discussions, we concluded that the Strappy's technology really ranked the highest out of all of those presented. Again, it was very challenging for us to pick the one between all the amazing technologies. However, when we looked at the demand for bandwidth, the problem sets that are being faced by not just DoD, not just by Homeland Security, but by also commercial industry, to be able to take the current bandwidth and be able to apply the technology you have and give a 10x almost like capability back to the owners of that bandwidth is a pretty amazing feat. So we thought that had the that was the best technology out of all the ones presented.
Well, that's terrific. I think I have to agree. They have an unbelievable technology, and they're doing things that are, going to leap their technology. So it's really really great that you selected them. And again, all of the companies do a fantastic job. So now we have Dave Shaw from Astrapi, and you're going to get a chance to say a few words. And then after you do that, we want to make sure that everyone's on the line. We want to take a photo so we can use it for social media. But David, please say a few words. You have the floor.
Thank you, Barbara, and thanks everybody for spending time on this. Really appreciate you bringing me into this, and every Friday ought to end like this. So we've got a very, very big opportunity in front of us, and we need smart people, we need funding, we need guidance, all of the above. It's much bigger than what we have here. Having said that, the technical team and the folks that we have done a remarkable job de-risking it to this point, because it's not your grandparents' capability, that's for sure. So really, really look forward to someday being able to meet you all in person. And again, Barbara, thanks so much for taking time to visit with me about this so that we knew it was going on. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I would like to congratulate all the participants and certainly thank all the judges. You all did a tremendous job, and we value the time that you took to spend with us.